Last week, we reported on the story of two bloggers murdered in Bangladesh. This week, we're going to dig a little deeper into the context in which those killings took place. In February, a Bangladeshi American blogger, Avijit Roy, the founder of a secularist website, was hacked to death in a Dhaka street. Just a few days later, another blogger, Washikur Rahman, met the same fate. Both men were killed for airing critical views on religion. The social media space in Bangladesh is a polarized place. On one side are secular bloggers who want to prevent religion seeping further into politics. On the other, voices that associate themselves with political Islam, pushing for blasphemy laws to protect their religion. As for the context, the roots of this story go all the way back to 1971, Bangladesh's war of independence with Pakistan, and a legal case that is yet to be resolved. One of the key figures accused of genocide back then is Muhammad Kamar-Uzzaman, a member of the opposition Jamaat-e-Islami party. This week, he lost his appeal in court and is facing the death penalty, handed down by a war crimes tribunal that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina set up in 2010 to investigate what happened in 1971. Opposition parties say the war crimes trials are politically motivated and have more to do with settling scores than dispensing justice. The social media debate about the trials began online and has since spilled out onto the streets. On the mainstream media side, journalists questioning the government's version of this story are finding themselves in court as well. Our starting point this week is the capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka.
The killings have sent shockwaves through Bangladesh. Two brutal murders in the space of about 1 month. For many years, we've prided ourselves on the fact that extremism has been kept under control. Maybe this is now the tip of the iceberg of something new. And certainly, especially in the media, we're even more concerned because those of us in the media, we provide our opinion, we speak constantly. So if people are going to be targeted for their words, media has more to worry about than just about anyone else.
The essay by the Bangladeshi American blogger was posted on the website of an American group called the Council of Secular Humanism. He wrote, "The death threats started flowing to my email box. A well-known extremist by the name of Farabi Shafiur Rahman openly issued death threats through Facebook. Rahman wrote, Avijit Roy lives in America, so it is not possible to kill him right now, but he will be murdered when he comes back." The essay concludes with the writer's biography and the news that the threats were to be taken seriously. And a few days after Roy was killed, he was followed to the grave by Washikur Rahman.
Neither of the bloggers were speaking out against religion. They were talking about religious extremism and how some Bangladeshis misinterpret religion. Both of them wrote against fanaticism and accused some of benefiting economically from business presented under the banner of religion. But they never said anything which could have hurt religious sentiments.
Avijit Roy, he was not actually writing, criticizing only Islam. He was sometimes criticizes all the religions like Islam, Hindu, Christianity, or Buddhist, all these cases. But in Washikur Rahman, he was not that prominent blogger, and in the cases, he sometimes criticizes extremism of Islam, especially radical groups of Islam.
The message which has been sent is if someone like Washikur can be targeted, anyone can be targeted. No one is safe. No one is beyond the notice of the militants.
Bangladesh historically is a very tolerant country, religious point of view and other point of view. But we are experiencing that there are some kind of ultra attitude from the religious parties and at the same time ultra attitude from the secular parties. Previously there were no conflict regarding this situation. Why these issues are now coming up?
Freedom of expression in Bangladesh has grown into an issue over some unfinished business from 1971, recent history that still lingers and divides. Bangladeshis call it the liberation war against Pakistan, and the sheer scale of suffering is difficult to grasp. The authorities in Dhaka say 3 million were killed, another 30 million displaced. It was considered one of the 5 worst cases of genocide of the 20th century, and there was genocidal rape, as many as 400,000 victims. 5 years ago, Prime Minister Hasina and her Awami League government set up the ICT, the International Crimes Tribunal, to investigate war crimes. Among the first indicted were 9 leaders from Jamaat-e-Islami, a religious party. Their supporters protested that the trials were political, and there were protests from the other side, when some of those convicted were spared the death penalty. With the wounds of 1971 reopened, the debate over what happened reignited, online and in the mainstream media.
জামাত নেতা কামরুজ্জামানের রিভিউ আবেদন খারিজ করে ফাঁসির রায় বহাল রেখেছে আদালত।
In the cases of war crimes and in the cases of issues of independence or war of independence, this is very sensitive here because we have fought and we have lost our 3 million people. So in these cases, if anybody raise any question regarding the numbers of our martyrs, then that actually very much emotional to this nation because we have lost this and we are still fighting for the justice of this killing.
We are holding war crimes trials, and this is something which is long overdue and necessary for Bangladesh to move on as a nation. But what we're seeing now is that if anyone is critical of the war crimes trials procedure, or there's certain issues about our liberation war in 1971, which if people question, that space for questioning has completely shrunk.
Only a small portion.
This war of words starts with a number, 3 million. The first person to put the death toll that high was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangladesh's independence leader. He said it to the British interviewer David Frost in 1972.
When I heard that they have killed about 3 million people of my unfortunate people.
That figure was never verified and is often questioned. David Bergman is a British journalist based in Dhaka who writes a blog on the War Crimes Tribunal. When he wrote that the evidence suggests that far fewer than 3 million died, the ICT charged him with contempt of court. Then, when a group of activists and academics wrote a letter supporting Bergman's right to express his doubts, 23 of them were also charged with contempt.
The court has been adamant regarding this issue. In the Liberation War 1971, 3 million people sacrificed their life, 300,000 women were raped. It is true that it is not good to question the death toll because it is officially authorized by the government. But the problem is that if anyone talks about it, it is considered as the contempt of court. This is not freedom of expression. In our constitution, there is nothing written saying that the 1971 death toll can be discussed or questioned.
However, the unwritten rules seem to say something different for bloggers and also for mainstream news outlets. In 2013, the Hasina government shut down 2 channels, Diganta TV and Islamic TV, for allegedly airing misleading information. This year, it blacked out a channel called ETV and charged the owner with sedition. And 2 months ago, another channel, Banglavision, suddenly dropped a political talk show called Frontline. The channel blamed technical reasons, but no one, given everything that's happening in the Bangladeshi media space, really believes that.
Our red lines are very harsh nowadays. So previously, journalists can write many things, but nowadays a lot of government rules, government restrictions, categorically imposing bans. The media is being heavily censored and you can express only one view. That's the problem here.
On the download this week, our viewers on the mainstream and social media sides of the story in Bangladesh.
We have seen in the past that certain newspapers incited violence against the bloggers. Yes, there have been some instances of contempt of court, but the International Crimes Tribunal has warned, reprimanded, and even fined journalists and editors. I would hesitate to put these contempt of court issues at the same level as the life threats the bloggers are faced with on an everyday basis.
In Bangladesh, if we talk about the Islamic educational system, Islamist people will declare us as apostates. Many of Bangladeshi Muslims think it's okay to kill atheist bloggers, and then the government is also remaining silent.